apologies to the House, and particularly to Baroness Brinton, who I should have called earlier, but it is slightly early in the morning. I invite the noble Baroness to speak.
My Lords, it's a pleasure to follow Lord Efferton, who's very carefully laid out the law in relation to the Equality Act and how it fits in with the guidance. Lady Nicholson's amendment on same-sex accommodation in hospitals returns to her concerns about the balance between the Equality Act and NHS guidance, delivering same-sex accommodation. And I do note that the Minister said at committee stage that NHS England is currently reviewing delivering same-sex accommodation guidance to ensure that it remains focused on privacy, safety and dignity for all patients. The NHS is committed to meeting its duties under the Equality Act. My Lords, the current NHS guidance is already rooted in the Equality Act 2010 and includes guidance on accommodating trans people for the NHS. That does not mean that women are excluded. The guidance was created in 2010, updated as recently as 2019. And as Lord Efferton has said, the guidance is very clear about the reasonable adjustments for trans people. But that does not remove the core principle that all patients should be safe and dignified. Amendment 184ZBA seeks to create a false understanding of the ways in which this works. And it also revokes Annex B in its current form. But frankly, my Lords, that's unnecessary because the Equality Act 2010 and the guidance already provide an effective mechanism for inclusion in the context of single-sex spaces. The whole point about Annex B is that it's guiding NHS staff in how to deliver same-sex accommodation for trans people, which is a very, very small number of patients, and probably most NHS staff have not had trans patients. It does not supersede the Equality Act. This is accompanied by the NHS safeguarding policies underpinned by the Care Act, which sets out how children and vulnerable adults will be protected from harm and abuse. The problem is that the amendment creates a blanket policy against trans inclusion in NHS accommodation, resulting in trans women having to be accommodated in men's NHS accommodation and trans men in women's NHS accommodation. This would create an environment that's contrary to the dignity and well-being of patients. I think, therefore, the amendment is unnecessary and, frankly, harmful. And it also goes against the careful NHS guidance and breaches the key element in the Equality Act, which the Minister reminded us of at committee stage. He said, "This means the rights and needs of women and trans women are equal in law." But above all, my Lords, there is no evidence to suggest that the status quo is not working. I hope Lady Nicholson will withdraw her amendment.
I rise to